Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Tarot for Our Times. This is Sarah, your medium on the go. I know it's been a while since I've been on, but things have happened. There was unfortunately death of a couple of people, and one of whom I went to funeral homes, memorials, that sort of thing. Then I had an event up in Buffalo over the weekend, so a lot of driving, traveling around. But I'm back. The thing is that everybody, whether they're in the woo woo world or the Midas touch world or um, Mary Trump, all of them have been talking about the declining mental and physical health of taco tits. So I don't think I really need to go into that because I'm probably going to not say anything any different than everybody else has, whether they've used tarot cards or not, or channeling. But there is a new angle to that, and which left me like, what am I going to talk about that like everybody else has talked about? So, this morning I saw a very interesting video from Tabitha of Tabitha Speaks Politics, and she talked about something that is part of my world, and this would the judgment card. It would be the shadow, or if you prefer, the reversal of the judgment card, which is usually that. And she was talking about how the title was about the ancestors and them telling him off, coming in from the spirit world. And she mentioned something that's come up for me in so many readings, and I'm sure that my colleagues who are also mediums can verify this, is that when we bring through, say, somebody's loved one, and they're in hospice, whether they're at home or in a facility, that there's one thing that really happens is that their loved ones come around at the very end of life. And usually it's a very loving thing, but she was talking about it in terms of, you know, uh, taco tits, is that they wouldn't be so loving, and that there are plenty of people on the other side who have a thing or two to say to him. And it occurred to me that sometimes when it's not so loving and someone has done such harm as he has done, it's kind of the prelude to what the spiritualists call the like the assessment. It's not, we don't believe in heaven or hell or any of that sort of thing. But there is a point when people cross over, they face those who are over there, who they've harmed, and you pretty much have to feel the feelings, and and then you go on. And as I was saying to someone the other day, after 80 years, they're not even halfway done with Hitler yet. And so the interesting thing about that is that when that process is done and you're on the other side, and go to the Akashic records, and the next time around, see if you can take these lessons. And this is what the Hindus call as karma. So and I will try to find that video and leave it in the comments. It's not a very long video. It's only about 4 minutes, but she did speak of people being in hospice who have people coming in from spirit. She calls them the ancestors, and there is a lot to that. So she was putting it in the in the context of Trump, and how this must be pretty awful, actually. Because there's so many. I mean, it would be take all day for me to. It's the people that passed unnecessarily from COVID. It's people in Ukraine and Gaza who are dying completely unnecessarily because of his policy. So I mean, and um, the young woman in my thumbnail, the young woman who committed suicide, who is all tied up with the Epstein thing, his wife Ivana, who that marriage did not end very well. I mean, there's just so many different things, and in a way, it's kind of a reckoning. So the interesting thing about doing readings in the current events vein using the tarot is that sometimes the tarot seems to evolve, and sometimes this can start to take on a very interesting meaning. Now, I've had it in its upright position, have had it meaning, it's the resurrection, it's the rising up from the grave, and that these people have a common, they're hearing the message from Archangel Gabriel, and it's like being reborn. They're rising up, and they're all different ages, and they are it's sort of like finding your tribe and the group of people. It's sort of like having an awakening and meeting people on the same wavelength and this sort of thing. But I've realized the darker side of this is that, and it could be it could be read in the reverse, as that these people are coming back to tell you that you really did some awful things. The worst thing about it is that you didn't care about it. Now, I know that in the 10th, I think it's the 10th step of Alcoholics Anonymous, is going around and making amends to people that you've harmed. And I believe that maybe some would disagree with me, but I believe that if you can do that when you're alive, you're going to save some time when you hit the other side. So there is something to say, like, why don't you get it done while you're still here? It's at least as much as possible. So this is very interesting. So I wanted to take a look and to see what would what are they trying to tell him? I want to take a deeper dive aside from the obvious. What are they trying? What message are they trying to tell him? I suspect he's going to be there for a long time, and it is. When you look at the near-death aspect of it, I mean, not only has he talked about getting into heaven, he's actually raising money to try to get into heaven. If you can, well, yeah, I guess, well, and you look at it, the robber barons like Andrew Carnegie and Frick and Mellon and all of those people, they did their philanthropy to buy their way into heaven because they were just horrible people otherwise, in the way they exploited their workers and all this sort of thing. So it's a very complex thing. So I just want to take a deeper dive and just see, because I do believe Tabitha, she really did hit a chord with me, and I believe that absolutely agree with what she has to say. I don't know if she exactly sees it in the way that I do, but I'm a little surprised because this is the first time I ever heard her speaking about this, but it was very good. It was very interesting, and taking a look at this whole thing from a black person's perspective is that they know that there are slave owners and slave traders they're over there having to listen to all the people that they harmed, and also up through Jim Crow and all this sort of thing. So, it's something that hits everybody, no matter your race, religion, ethnicity. This is something that is a human thing that we all have in common. But when you get to the evil and the sociopaths, maybe it's a good thing to look at it like what happens when they're getting near the end of life. And it seems to me it may come down to, well, they're not really sorry they hurt people, but they're afraid of getting caught in the afterlife. And it's not so much that they're making amends, but they're trying to do it in other ways, like buy their way into the afterlife, so it won't be so bad. And those that do believe in the devils and the pitchforks, it's got to be a very interesting thing. So I've been shuffling these up, so I'm going to just see what the messages would be, and just let's see what's going to happen here. I just thought that this might be a whole different interesting aspect. So let's see. The main cards, let's see what we have here. We have, oh man, you saw me shuffle these. This is the worry about what's on the other side. And it's very interesting because this woman is in bed, and a lot of times this happens at night. I had a friend years ago who was dying of AIDS, and he spoke of the eyes looking at him in night and seeing human form. He didn't go into it very much, but it was very, very real. And now, since I discovered mediumship, I have a better understanding. So in cases of, and I'm sure they were very loving to him because he was a nice person, but when I look at this, the Nine of Swords, it's a little different from the Rider deck because they're all pointing at her. And these are the swords of truth that are coming, and she's worried they're going to come down and stab her. So this is the general energy. So this is, you can say maybe she is terminally ill in bed in hospice, and she is worried about, she's getting these messages and very, very worried about the consequences. So let's see what the energy around this is. The Queen of Cups, which is trying to find the nurturing and gentle aspect of this, which is what happens with most people. But it could be very elusive if someone like he did not have the best relationship with his mother, shall we say. From what I've been reading about lately, it doesn't look like she liked him very much. So let's see. Leading up to this in the before tarot, all this worrying is okay. Alrighty. Oh, the Nine of Wands. The wolf is at the door. The wolf is at the door, and he cannot get the barrier up because the wolf is coming for him. So that's quite interesting. This really is, I think, this really looks like he knows his days are numbered on some deep level, and this is still part of the fear of this. Okay, I would say he is very scared of death. So then we have, the afterthought is, now we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. I would say with that pentacle floating, she can't quite get her hands on it. It's like you can't take it with you in the afterlife. And after all this, a lifetime of social climbing, which I think probably came from his mother, who came from rather humble beginnings, that with this Queen of Pentacles in the after tarot is the realizing that all the social connections of West Palm Beach and Park Avenue and all of this sort of thing, it's meaningless. There's no grasp to it. It's having to maybe face that one's life was one big lie. Okay, so then going to the underlying thing about this was all the moon in reverse. The moon in reverse is the spilling out of all the deep, dark stuff that goes back to childhood. It's the seeing, I know they say before you pass, you see your life pass in front of your eyes. I believe that it takes a longer, it stretches out more like a movie. When people know they're coming near the end of their lives, but this is a very dark thing. This is the subconscious coming to light, and all the, just all of the sick things from the kind of family that he grew up in, the lack of compassion, all of this sort of thing. So then we have no more illusions. No more illusions. In the when the Seven of Cups is upright, it's the big smoke screen. I would say is that not only his illusions, but I also want to say that the illusions that he's trying to throw up in front of his gullible followers, not working so much anymore, as one can see in that Iowa election in the ruby red district, where the Republican on this for the state legislature lost big time. So seeing Linda G earlier this afternoon, there is something, let him go gerrymander the hell out of Texas. If people are mad enough and people get out and vote, that may become meaningless. I'm sure hoping so. And then we have the Page of Swords. So it's the enemy in the camp. I would say there's putting it next to these, paranoia, just total and utter paranoia from what he's being told. I don't think there are any loving messages, and as far as his mother goes, I don't, from what she was a pretty cold fish, basically. So let us see in the conscious thoughts of the messages that he may be getting. And we have, as I put in my thumbnail, we have Epstein. Epstein's always a fact. Epstein is the head ghost. If you were to write this as the Christmas Carol, he would be the ghost of Marley that introduced him to all the other spirits. And I was thinking of that actually quite a bit, thinking about this. So then we have on the conscious level, it is Russia. If he puts his attention to Russia and kissing Putin's behind, and that's kind of like the thing that makes him forget about everything else for a while anyway, of living with this delusion like Putin is my mother. That's the thing. Mother Russia, Putin is my mother. So I don't have to worry about her from the spirit world. But yes, she's probably tormenting him. Okay, the subconscious thoughts is, oh boy, you can't make this stuff up. The King of Wands, the worry about that he is no longer inspiring. Even 9 years ago, when he ran for the first term, I mean, it wasn't so hot. I mean, but he was kind of like a lot more on target with his audience, and well, I would say inspiring the worst that this society has to offer. That is gone, and subconsciously he is worried about it. And I would say when he gets visited by those spirit people at night, they're telling him, like, you're not such hot shit anymore. You just really aren't. So this is going to the subconscious, which is making him do all these crazy things that I don't think will come to fruition. Okay, so in the past of all of this, we have the Page of Pentacles in reverse. So, when the irony is he's accumulating all of this money that he may not live long enough to spend. I mean, he'll leave it to the kids. He doesn't really give a shit about that, but at any rate, so interesting message with this Page of Pentacles in reverse, because when the material coin he loses it, he's not taking it with him. The sunflower is revealed. That is the symbol of spiritualism. And that means that he cannot buy he has realized he cannot buy his way out of this one. But this pentacle is saying, yep, I'm going to still raise money to get in heaven, but ultimately he's not going to be able to. It's just that illusion may be falling pretty quickly. So then we move on to the present, and we have the Empress in reverse. So the reality is that with Russia being weakened, and I would assume that Putin was playing him incredibly, that and they're really broke. I mean, they are really broke, and they don't have much power. Is that and Putin's getting tired of him. So I think what this is that it's getting to be the point of countries like Russia are not going to be there for him after all the ass kissing he has done for the past, maybe 45 years already. And as far as for entertainment purposes only, if he has been a Russian asset, he's not that useful. That he's not really that useful for them anymore, because it's the dementia, it's all of this stuff that they don't know. Sure, he'll go along with them, but as far as him having the power to give Ukraine back to them, that he doesn't have the power to do that. And so this goes to what I'm getting a sense is that he has the Ukrainian spirits kind of nipping at his heels, especially, children and this sort of thing that have been unalived because of his policies and the willingness to not give them the tools they need to defend themselves. The EU is, but it's still more deaths than necessary, which is awful since Russia. So those people, Ukrainians, they really have a thing or two to say to him. So then coming up in the near future, we have the Ace of Swords. So in his day-to-day world, if all else fails, keep going with the whoppers. Ace of Swords in reverse is the big lies. Big lies. I mean, I can't even go through all the crazy shit he's saying, but okay, so then we have big lies here with the Ace of Swords. Okay. And he will continue, in spite of him getting these messages, he will keep telling the lies. And part of it is he figures he can lie his way into heaven because he thinks that the realm on the other side is stupid as they are in the living world. So then I'm going to go for some after tarots for the future. Okay, so then we have the Queen of Wands, who is wrapping it up for the day. It looks like she's going to be setting that wand to the side until she's ready to do her work. So the next day. So I would say that his biggest nemesis has been women. So women on the other side have been talking to him. So you know what? This could be Ivana. What the hell are you doing burying me in that goddamn golf course? Hello? So I would say she pretty much comes and she pretty much goes. She'll give it a little bit of a rest for a while. But she does have her hand on the wand, ready to... I would not be surprised if that's quite annoying to him from the spirit world, because she's going to remind him of all the things he did that he paid her off to keep her mouth shut. She is reminding him, so she sets it aside for the daytime, but at night she's out. So moving right, and she will continue. This is one of the big ones. She's going to continue. So then we have, oh boy, this is, oh, here we go. Four of Pentacles with a guest appearance of the Death card. The Death card just decided to crash this Four of Pentacles party, saying, yeah, you think you're going to hang on to all this crazy stuff of yours, that you're going to hold on to beliefs that do not, they didn't even belong in the 20th century, let alone the 21st century, but I'm nearby. I'm very nearby. So you can hold on to that stuff, but if you think you're taking it with you, brother, have you got a real big reality check? So even with the Grim Reaper nipping at his heels, and who, it's not for me to say, because when we say like the end is near, I mean, it could be a year from now, it could be next week. We don't really know for sure. We're not really supposed to know anyway, but with this kind of a reading for entertainment purposes only with public figures, it's a different ball game than if this person were sitting with me, I would never be saying this stuff. But public figures they'll never know me. They're kind of fair game. But even having said that, we cannot say, oh, it's going to be a month from now, or, we don't know. But it's getting kind of close there. That's all I'll say. So going out a little bit more into the future, we have, oh boy, cannot make this stuff up. So in the after tarot, we've got Judgment. Our card of the day, we've got Judgment. And it is in reverse. So we have The innocence kind of like leaving a big bag of bones. And interesting here, because when I did my thumbnail, right in this space, I had Nixon. Because with the cover up of the Epstein things, his spirit is looming very, very heavily. I will have to say that. I didn't make him kind of transparent like the others, like Epstein and Ivana, and the people being, the bodies from COVID and all this stuff. Because I think if I had if there is a clairvoyant thing of Nixon, he would materialize like you would nobody's business. Because he's there to say, hey, dude, what are you doing? I didn't even do half of this crap as far as the cover up, and I still gotten. So I'm telling you from the afterworld, you're not getting away with this. You may think you are, but you're weak, you're sick, and you're weak, and you're not getting away with it. So this is the big message of judgment in reverse. Big message of judgment in reverse. And so this is pretty much Gabriel is blowing his horn for the reckoning. I don't think much more needs to be said about that. So let's see, we got in the good old hopes and fears. With all of this visitation, let's see what we have in the hopes and the fears. In the hopes, he wishes that things could just stay the way they are, that he can just sort of hang out, be put in figures, he'll hang out, be put in a stage of grace, and everything will be hunky-dory. But the fear is that he's stuck. He may be stuck in, God only knows whatever pathetic little religious belief he has. So that's his hope. That's his hope and fear, is that it's a hope and it's a fear at the same time. I think the fear is that he might see things from another perspective. I'm not saying in a redeeming one, but in another perspective that goes completely against his world of reality. So I want to do how he sees himself and how others see him. How he sees himself is Eight of Wands in reverse. Kind of goes along with the Hangman. This is I would say this in reverse could be the minor arcana of the Hangman. It's kind of like all this stuff that he's doing. He's seeing that too many barriers are being put up to, I'm being stopped at doing all this stuff that I want to do. That's why he wants to go after everybody without any, reason. He just wants to, because he's seeing himself as that his wonderful agenda is being stopped. That's how it's kind of like another victim kind of a card. How others see him is okay. Well, ruining the economy. That the Pentacles is also health, that he's off balance, that he can no longer ride those waves in the background and keep the health in balance. Others are seeing him as weak, and the health is going, and the nation's wealth is going too. So that's not very encouraging. So that may be a message that he may be getting that he does not want to get. And as I say, it's probably from those on the other side. So let's see a conclusion of this whole thing, and then we have the Page of Wands. The messages just keep coming. And I would say that pages do represent the beginning, or the youth, the start of something. I would say that this visitation stuff from the ancestors, whatever you want to call them, from those on the other side, this is recent. What this is telling me, this is recent, but it will continue because it's the rods. And once rods can be all about, once something is put in motion, it takes a life of its own. So they haven't even begun yet. So I just, as a concluding thing, so I'm going to put a couple of clarifiers down. And we have, this is incredibly emotional. Very, very emotional. I would say that it's coming, sees that hand is coming out of the cloud. I would say that in the area of the other side, by those people in the spirit world, from Ivana to the latest kid that got killed in Ukraine or Gaza, that it's about when they're able to really vent on him, it's a tremendous release. It is a tremendous release. And they can move on and be happier. Him, not so much, because he's always a big fountain of emotion. So let's see what we have here. I would say that with the Nine of Cups, this is pretty much about he's deluding himself that he's still in a very comfortable position because he's gotten away with so much. So he's still pretty much the smug merchant, which could probably be part of his dementia too. But those cups are sitting on a pretty narrow wall there. And it's sort of like, well, if this guy gets up in the wrong way, they all come tumbling down. So there's a bit of a small the sense of security with that whole thing of him wanting people to contribute so he can buy his way to heaven. Oh God, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. But I think he feels as though as long as his ass is sitting in that chair in the Oval Office. I wonder if this guy has cankles too. Ooh, those ankles are looking kind of thick. Okay, so any rate, he's a little bit, even with all of this happen, what he may be telling himself is that crazy dreams. So he is getting the messages, but that they're not probably sinking. They might be scaring him, but not really sinking in where he's not going to turn out like Ebenezer Scrooge, at the end. That's not going to be the ending, but Ace of Pentacles. I think of that song, Led Zeppelin, Buying a Stairway to Heaven. I think he feels as long as the money keeps going in, he can buy his way into heaven. So, what this is telling me is that, especially with this Ace of Pentacles, is that I think he's trying to bribe those people on the other side. It's like I think it's getting to him maybe in a scary, nightmarish type of way. But right now, and it's playing into his fear of death too. But beyond that, are going for the redemption, which could very much be about judgment as well. That isn't in the picture what this is telling me is that, especially with this guy here, that pretty much what's going to happen as this intensifies and he starts to realize this could be real, is it may just increase his fear. The fear of holding, if he holds on long enough, this guy isn't going to come any closer. So, no redemption, but this will make him crazier. But right now, and I think it is to a certain degree, but it's only started to scare him. I would say as his behavior becomes more erratic, I know, how could it come any more erratic? As it becomes more erratic, I think that's when those from the other side are really going to start to be getting to him. And unfortunately, I believe it will take his being over there for quite a long time to have it really sink in of all the harm he's done. It looks as though what I'm getting kind of my own little psychic hit is that he's still telling himself, oh, this is, I had one Big Mac too many. This doesn't seem, but it's scary. It's still kind of scary. And that's all that's going to increase is the fear. And he will be getting a little bit crazier as time, desperate and crazier. But as again, not going to end well for him. It really isn't. So this is a chance for him to become aware, but it's just, for sociopaths, it's just... his brain isn't wired right for that. Now, he may put on an act and showing some compassion, but I think that's going to be for a later reading. But he is starting to think about the afterlife, but it's still, let's see if I can buy my way in. And I mean, in all the years I've done readings and that sort of thing, for someone to think that he can just bribe the spirit world and pay them off, I will have to say that is a new one. That's really a new one for me. So at any rate, that is what I've got. I know that a big thing is that, along with Nixon, the Epstein, and I believe there are more women who have probably committed suicide or overdosed on drugs as a result of the horrible things that happened with Epstein. So I have no idea. There will be women stepping up and talking pretty soon. But that's got to be haunting him. But it's not with the well, I think it's only... He's worried about the consequences and really not of what he did, to all of these various people, from mismanaging COVID to Epstein to whatever it is. So I think this is probably going to escalate in an interesting way. So at any rate, that's what I've got, and I'll see you soon. Bye.